I would say one of the most regular questions that I get on this channel about equipment is about tripods. In this video, what we're talking about is tripods for your mobile photography. Let's get into it. G'day guys, Shane Mostyn here. Today we are talking about tripods. Everything I'm talking about here today, all the tripods, all the phone holders, all that stuff is in the description down below. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, hit the button, hit the bell, and you'll see 2 videos each and every week all about small sensor photography. If you have subscribed, you're a bloody legend. Today we're talking about tripods, and do you need a tripod for mobile photography? For what we do here on this channel about low light photography, that shutter stays open for a long time. So bloody oath you need a tripod, especially for these sorts of photos. Apologies first, where I am today is right almost in the middle of my hometown. This here is the Gunbower Creek. It runs through the middle of town. Over there, you might hear some squealing, some screaming, some bells, some buzzers and all sort of business. There's a heap of netball being played over there at the moment, and you might be picking that up on the microphone. If you're not, just imagine you are, because it's all happening. But anyway, we're talking about tripods. Tripods in general are made for one reason, that's to hold a camera. Now, the weight of the camera, so you can get some pretty big cameras to go on top of tripods. The one I'm using right now, it's a mirrorless camera and it's sitting on a reasonably sized tripod, mainly to get you up here at head height. But tripods are made to carry the weight of cameras. So when you look at tripods, they're all different weight classifications of the tripods. Now, whilst there are manufacturers who make tripods specifically for mobile phones, I'm someone who carries a phone and a camera to most things that I do. And so for me, I kind of want something that's going to work with both. And if I get something that's going to work with the camera, it's going to work with a phone because they're just so much lighter. All I'm going to need is a phone holder. We'll talk about them at the end. So for me, there's 3 sorts of tripods. One is a desktop tripod, one is a flexi travel tripod, and one is a full-size tripod. The first thing we're going to talk about here today is a desktop tripod. This one here is a SmallRig tripod. This one here is metal design. It's got a ball head on it. That is important. There's different sorts of heads that you can put onto tripods. You've got pan and tilt tripod heads, and you've got ball heads. This ball head, in my opinion, is the best sort of tripod head you can get, a ball head. What it is you've got a dial here on the side, and you can tighten that up, and the head won't move. You loosen it off, and you can move the head around. All ball heads work roughly the same way, with an exception. I'll talk about that in a second. And these are quite good for basically doing like meetings and stuff online when you're using your phone as your webcam. Basically, they fold out flat, sit it on top of your desk, put a phone holder on top here, hold onto your phone, and you can use that as your webcam. Now, it's not too bad. I quite like it as a tripod. I actually got this for a video rig that I'm using the camera on right now, and I quite like it. As a phone holder, there's limitations to this. There's pluses and minuses. The plus for this thing is it's tiny. That's about 7 inches long. It's really, really quite small. Now, the downside of this thing is that it's really, really tiny. So you're limited to how high you can set the camera around. So it's got to sit on something flat, and it's only going to be this high off whatever you're sitting it on. The next one we're talking about here is the flexi tripod. You would have seen these things before. I promote these pretty heavily. I quite like these. This is a Joby GorrilaPob, this one here, and this one here is rated for about 3 kilos. It's also got a ball head that you can move around and lock it into place. The good thing about this sort of tripod is that you can mount it onto railings and things like that, and it'll wrap around, and you can hold it on a railing just like that and take a photo. You can hold onto vertical things, horizontal things, above it, below it, all that sort of stuff, and it works quite well. The only thing that, well, there's 2 things I don't like about this. One is that the head is different. See this head? It's sort of like a Joby head. So you push on this and you pull out this and you fix your phone holder to that plate there. And that's well and good, but what I find is that I go between tripods a little bit, so I like to uniform this thing. So I don't really like that. It's okay, it's got a nice little level and stuff there. It's okay, but it's only for the Joby tripod head. Whereas this is an Arcus Swiss mount, so the plate goes into here, in between those 2 claws there, if you like. And this here is the Arcus Swiss mount. So that plate there slides into that groove, and that's what holds it on. Now, all the tripods that I use, with the exception of that Joby tripod, has an Arcus Swiss mount, and that is really, really handy if you're going to jump between tripods. If you've got more than one, I would suggest making it uniform. So that's the first thing I don't like about the Joby tripod head, is that plate. I don't really like that. The second thing is that this stuff breaks, and they're good, but when you've got a couple of $1,000s worth of phone sitting on this on a railing somewhere, I tend to get a little bit nervous about that sort of thing happening, and it just shouldn't. You can get metal ones of these, but they're much more expensive. If I was going to be really gripey about it, I don't like the way this tripod is set up with the ball, but I'll explain that one with the next one. Actually, I'll explain it now. Most ball heads look like this. You've got the ball going into a socket, and that socket is lower than what the ball is. So you've got always this little gap that stuff can fall into. What I mean by that is, well, where I live, it's kind of in the bush a bit, and where I go out taking photos at night, there's usually a lot of dust and stuff around. So dust gets into this pretty regularly. Not this particular one, I haven't used this one that much yet, but certainly on the Joby, I've always got to crack it to get it to move. And on the larger tripod that I've had for like 10, 15 years, I've got to crack it to get it to move as well. And it can be a bit of a pain, I just know it's full of dust in there. If only they did this upside down. What a novel idea. This one does that. How cool is that? It's a very, very novel idea. An upside down ball head. I haven't seen that before. I just haven't. I think that's a really good idea. You loosen this here and you can move the ball head around. This one is made by ULANZI, and if you've watched this channel for more than a few videos, you know that I'm a massive fan of ULANZI gear. So this is the ULANZI MT-35 panoramic tripod. It's a flexi tripod. These things bend, and it looks like to me this is filled with like a metal, flexible metal, and it's coated in rubber. So this is going to grip onto pretty much anything, just like what the Joby tripod does. But the best thing about this is that's not going to fall apart, separate from each other, and drop my phone. The head of this is all metal design. It's got a cold shoe mount here, so that if you're a vlogger, you can mount your light to it or microphone to it. It's a pretty bloody good tripod. In fact, I'm going to say it's my favourite tripod at the moment. I really like the way this is designed. It's so simple to use. The ball is upside down, so there's no crap going to get into it. I really like that. That's a clever idea. It comes with the mount to put your phone holder onto, and that's really it, guys. It's so simple. The best part about it, it's only like 54 bucks or something like that. It's dead cheap for a phone holder, for a tripod that's going to hold your phone, you know, worth upwards of $500–600 for 50 bucks. That's a no-brainer to me. That's a really, really good tripod. Hot tip for this tripod, you can actually take this head off, and on that little screw right there, you can mount your phone holder directly to it, so it even gets smaller if you didn't want to use the head. Bloody ingenious, really good tripod. Now, as far as size of this goes, it's roughly the same size as the Joby tripod. I'll bring it back here so you can see. It's roughly the same size. If anything, it's a little bit smaller. Joby's all plastic design, all metal. This head is all metal. The ball head is all metal. And the third sort of tripod that I use is, this one here is the Manfrotto tripod. And I have used this. This one's been all around the world with me. This is my trusty go-to tripod for, I'm going to say, almost everything. In fact, most of the videos that you watch on this channel, when you see me talking at the phone, on a phone holder taking photos of the night sky, it's usually this here, because I can get the same height, and it just looks better for you guys if we're at the same height with the phone, you watching there and me not needing to bend down. These doesn't come standard on it. This is just some foam core that, because when I've got a big camera sitting on there with filters and all sort of business, I can just throw it over my shoulder. It's not going to hurt my shoulder, no big deal. The link to this one, well, actually it's not this one, it's the next generation of this one, because this one's that bloody old. It's no longer made. like it's all the paint's chipped off it and stuff. This is my regular go-to tripod. Absolutely love this thing. It's an absolute workhorse. And anyway, links down the bottom. But this, the downside of this, it's friggin' big. Like that's long. That's like arm length, like folded up. So we can undo that, bring it all the way out, and so it's going to come up to roughly my nose, I guess, and so I'm not exactly the tallest person in the world. I think I'm 180 centimeters, whatever that is in American numbers. I'll put it down there, but that's That's how high this one here is. So this works really well. I've had this all around the world. I've gone to so many different places around the world taking photos with this thing. It should never let me down. The downside is it's big, it's a bit heavy, and it's just not really that great for traveling with. This thing, to me, looks like the go-to. The weight that this thing will carry, I'll list it down the bottom here, but you can put, I've put my DSLR on this already, my 5D onto this already, and it takes the weight just fine. I'm really, really impressed with this. Let's talk about which one you should choose for you. If you're someone like me and you, say, ride a motorcycle and you want to take your tripod with you when you take your motorcycle, ideally you'd go to this, but it's really not that versatile when you get out to the field to set it up at a certain height, because it's got to have a flat surface on it. To me, this here is the go, because you can attach it to railings and so forth, and it'll work just fine. And it folds up to that long there. I'll put down the bottom here just exactly how long that is. To me, that's the go-to. But if you're somebody who you may be sporting an injury and you can't really get down on the ground, or see, sometimes I'll put this sort of tripod on the ground, and use it to take photos of the night sky from the ground. So I've got to get right down there. So if you're somebody who's suffering from bad legs or bad hips or bad knees, that sort of business, basically if you're an ex-infantryman, you don't want to get down on the ground too much, this is probably your go-to, getting this bigger tripod and just doing it all from head height. And that's fine. So make up your own mind what sort of tripod you want. But in my opinion, this ULANZI bad boy, that's kind of my favourite go-to now. Let's talk about tripod. No, not tripods. We were talking about tripods. Let's talk about the phone holders that go on top of these bad boys. So I've got three here to show you. Now, the phones that I use is the Pixel 4a 5G. I use the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So it's a pretty big surface area on that phone. I use obviously the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. This phone holder here is a Manfrotto tripod. Oh, Manfrotto phone holder, I should say. And it's okay. It's pretty cheap. I'll put it linked down to the bottom of this one as well. It's a spring-loaded one, and that spring load is what holds your phone. It's got a little bit of an indentation here and on this side here, so in theory your phone's going to sit behind there. It's pretty lightweight, feels a bit cheap to be honest. I haven't used this in any situation where I've thought I need to trust this to hold my phone, because I just don't. It just doesn't fill me with lots of confidence to hold the phone. It goes wide enough, and you can see there, look at that flexing down there. Look at on this side here, as I open it, watch the flexing. It just flexes down, and it doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence, which is a real shame, because Manfrotto is a really, really good brand. This tripod that I've taken all over the world, it's Manfrotto. Maybe you guys should just stick to making tripods, because this doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. This one here is the ULANZI one. Now, I've had this for quite a long time. I bought this myself. I've used this on so many videos on this channel. Anyone who's regularly watching this channel, you know that I really like this gear. It's pretty cheap as far as money goes, but the quality of this stuff that these guys make, it's on point. It's really, really good. This one here has got a spring load on it, but you also, once it gets to the point of putting your phone in there, let me just open this up. So it's wide enough for the iPhone, and I'll put the iPhone into it. Not quite wide enough yet. Should be there now. Yeah, it's in there now. And then I screw this down. That's nice and tight. I know that's not going anywhere. And I've trusted my phone in this little phone holder here since the iPhone 11. It's a really good phone holder. It's going to hold your $1,800 phone, and it costs 15 bucks. It's dead set cheap. It doesn't come with this on here. This is the Arca Swiss mount that came on one of those tripods that I just showed you. When you buy a tripod, they all come with the Arca Swiss mount, or depending on the mount system that you've got, they all come with the plate. So this plate is an Arca Swiss plate, and it will go into an Arca Swiss mount. Make sense? Hope so. The next phone holder I'll show you is this one, and this one is the ST23. ULANZI sent me this one. This is quickly becoming my go-to as well. Didn't come with the base. This is actually the base off, where is it? Off this tripod. This is the one that came with this. So this will go just open that up again because I closed it when I was demonstrating it to you. This will go straight into that there. We turn this knob here, the outside of this one here, and it tightens up. This red dial is actually what turns it. We'll tighten that up and it won't turn anymore. But this here, this tripod with this ST23, I think it is, ST23, is now my go-to. This is a perfect setup for what we do here on this channel for mobile phone photography. The reason I like it is that the first one that I showed you, the first phone holder, the Manfrotto one, that's all well and good that it's plastic and it's just springy, but I don't trust it. The second one I like more because I do trust it. It's got that screw on top, and the screw is what holds it in. This one here, when you unfold it, it'll fold out flat. That's well and good. That doesn't really bother me that much. But the thing I really like about it is it actually is spring-loaded, but I didn't like that spring-loaded. This one's all metal, and it's got that screw there. So with this one, I'll put it on top of a tripod. I just put my phone into it and just push up on the phone. There you go, and then tighten up on this. That's it. It's locked. And I would happily hang that from anything and be comfortable that the phone's not going to fall. It's a little bit more expensive. I think this one's like $20-something, that holder, but this is $1,800. So when we're talking about $20-odd, it's kind of a no-brainer to me. It's got a couple of cold shoe mounts on this, and you can mount that plate there on the side there if you wanted to, or on this side here if you wanted to. Same with the other ULANZI one. It's got the mounts either side there as well, and obviously one on the bottom. It's got a cold shoe mount on top, and this one's got cold shoe mount on the top and on the back. So for vlogging and stuff, if you're really into it, if you're someone who walks around with people looking at you while you're walking around holding a phone, talking to it, you can mount actually this situation right here, if I just tighten that one up again, you can mount on this cold shoe here. That's actually on the tripod. You can put your microphone out there on top of this one up here. You can put your light sitting at the top there, and you can even put something there if you want. Don't know what you'd use as a vlogger for $3, but having that options, I'd rather have the option and not use it than not have it and wish I did have it. Make sense? So for me, this setup right here, the MT-35 tripod, this one here, and the ST23 phone holder, all the links are in the description to this. I'll link them over to ULANZI site. This to me is the perfect situation for someone like me who travels a little bit, whether it's in your backpack, in your motorbike, on your car, wherever you're going to travel. It's not heavy at all, and this is going to flex onto most things to take your photos anywhere you go. I'll be interested to see what you guys think about this. Let me know your thoughts in the description down below, in the comments down below. I'm pretty excited about that. I reckon that's a really, really good setup. Anyway guys, that's it for today. I'll catch you later.